My name's David Clements. I'm chairman and founder of Future Designs. I'm in Mayfair at my favourite cafe, Langan's Brassiere.
For the second podcast in my series, The Long Lunch. Today I'm joined by my dear friend Sam Bernard, who's the General Manager of Langan's Brassiere here in the heart of Mayfair.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Clements, and welcome back home, I would say.
How did you get into this profession?
When I was a kid, I loved eating. My mum, thankful to her, used to cook a lot. Everything from, big salads to, the fish from the sea, meat, gibier, desserts. We had cheese.
Where did you come from? Where do you hail from?
A city called Montpellier in the south of France, just by the Mediterranean.
Okay.
So we're lucky enough to have a bit more sun than in London. Fantastic veg and fruit most of the year. A beautiful product from the sea as well. We're not going out as a family so often at a restaurant. It wasn't a big thing. And I'm from a fairly modest background, so I was always looking at restaurants with big eyes. And when we're going, it was as well a big occasion. When I entered the trade during my catering school, and so on, I understood that loving to eat and loving to eat out wasn't the same than running a restaurant. You actually need to put some work, and it's quite different. But still, as soon as I started it, as much as school, then after in my first experience in Michelin star restaurant and in a palace, I found first of all maybe what I needed, which was good discipline, a bit of rigor. Because after the catering school, I wanted to learn English so that I could export myself and travel, which was one of the purposes of being in hospitality, is that you can't travel across the world and you'll always have a job. Pre-Brexit, the UK was an easy destination. You could come in and literally start a job the day after.
Where was your first job in the UK?
In the UK, it was in a place called Le Pont de la Tour.
Oh, near Tower Bridge?
Yeah, absolutely. On the wharf, just by Tower Bridge.
Who owned the pond?
It used to be a Conran restaurant.
Yeah, Conran, yeah.
Terence Conran, absolutely. So he had what he called the gastrodome.
The chop house.
The chop house next door.
I used to use that because,
Absolutely,
I eat basic English.
No, it was very good. It was very good. A lady called Melissa Schmidt managed it at some point. Anyway, so I started at Pont de la Tour. Great experience. I stayed there actually for 3 years before traveling out, going to see the world. So I was supposed to go to the States after that. Coming out of a big catering school in France, I had a contract with a big hotel group. So they come and poach you basically in the catering school and tell you, look, go and learn English a bit, and then you'll come to the States with us. I was supposed to go to Boston. But then, we like it very much with my partner at the time when we came in and decided to make it home. You could evolve as well pretty quickly compared to France. You start as a coming waiter, carry trays, start learning English, learning as well the habits or you have to work here basically, because it was a bit of a different way. And then quickly, you become part of the team, you accept it, and you start evolving, become a chef de rang, head waiter, and then a floor manager very quickly.
And then the dreadful COVID, the biggest con of our life, in my view,
uncalled for.
hit us in March 23. So we're on the first floor of Langan's this morning. This was called the Venetian Room.
Absolutely.
And I had a lunch booked in Cannes at an event called MIPIM for 70 people on the Tuesday, and they cancelled MIPIM. This was early March. They cancelled MIPIM. And I remember phoning here and saying, can I have the Venetian Room on like the 10th or 9th of March for 70 people upstairs? And we moved our lunch from Cannes
to London
to here. And on all the tables, I put a mask on as a bit of a joke, because people were talking about we might have to wear masks. And of course, 3 months later, our draconian government decided that was going to make a difference to the world. And that was before your time, because then this place closed.
Absolutely. So it's
2 weeks later.
I look at COVID on the inside, and when you reflect on it, a bit of a tragedy for the industry when it happened. I mean, when they told us literally, we didn't have to close at first, but the government was basically shutting us down unwillingly by telling people not to go out.
Were you still at the Plateau then?
No, I was in a German gymnasium in King's Cross.
Okay.
So that was working very well. We had a Google
What was that called?
headquarter.
The German
Gymnasium.
German gym.
Just as you come out
I know
of
it,
King's
yeah.
Cross at the back. So beautiful building, fantastic restaurant, serving easy German and European fare. And then suddenly we're doing days over there with 1,000 covers. And we could see the covers gradually going down, and then from one day to another, it dropped to something like 150 covers only for the day. And then the day after, I remember having to tell the staff, having an assembly and having to tell the staff, look guys, we're gonna have to close, and we don't. The scary part was that we've never done it, we aren't prepared, clearly. We don't really know where we're going, but we need to tell those 150 people that work for us what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you come into that meeting, and your bosses, your CEO, and all don't really know. They just tell you that the government's going to have to step in, because otherwise they don't really know what's going to be expected of them. And you go in front of those people, they're a bit, puzzled, if not scared yet. And you got to tell them, look, it's going to be all right. We get through it. We're not too sure yet. We don't even know when we're going to reopen. We thought it'd be a few days, maybe a week, 2 weeks. And then it's starting to be a much longer affair. So when you reflect on it, we learn a lot from it. That's probably positive, but definitely a dramatic time for restaurant and for hospitality as a
It
whole.
was catastrophic, wasn't it?
Yes.
In effect,
Yeah.
it destroyed.
He destroyed a lot of. Look, he destroyed Langan. So a lot of debt starting accumulating because there is.
Well, this place
Yeah.
never opened again
Yeah,
until
never
it changed
opened.
ownership, did it?
Absolutely.
Which was in 22.
The place went into administration, and I guess look, there's no one in the industry that would have put a penny in a restaurant at that time. It was all about survival. So it's been it's basically British investors that were not tied up to the hospitality that said it's a shame to. It would be a shame to lose Langans, basically, to lose the name, to lose so much history in the heart of Mayfair, in the heart of London, and say, look, we'll take it over, yes, we'll buy out the debt, and so on. A deal was made, basically, with the landlord and the previous investor, and they kept it dormant until we could reopen it when the right condition came together. So obviously, when we reopened it, the kitchen has been completely redone, downstairs as well, but in keeping with what it was. I think we can the same kind of color style, wood as well around, and the same atmosphere to the restaurant. A lot of arts, so we had to reinvest into the arts. The arts was gone, unfortunately.
Yep.
But a lot of arts was again purchased, and then upstairs we thought, what do we do with upstairs? And we thought, another private member club, and we thought to do another like a home, a living room away from home, but something different from Langan downstairs, so something that would surprise guests when they come back and look at it, so something new, basically.
Which it did. They obviously advertised for this, or did they headhunt you? How did you end up with this job?
Hospitality is a very small world, as much, us, you as our guest or client, we'll go to other restaurant and we'll see clients from other restaurant, but as well in terms of the.
I only ever come here. I don't go anywhere else.
Thank you, Mr. Clements. In terms of the team that manage the people that work in the industry, I can go sometime, to New York, or I can go to other cities and I'll meet people in restaurants by accident that I've worked with. So the gentleman that's at the top that managed basically investment in everything that's leisure for the investor was someone I worked with at Pont de la Tour in 2002 or 2003. COVID brought a lot of difficulties and a lot of challenges. Is that when we reopened, most of our team were gone. Some people decided to do something else. There was a lot of European working in London that simply disappeared, went back home and never came back as well. Restaurant reopened with a lot of demand, so we needed basically teams like at the December season, the highest season, and we didn't have those teams, so it was a bit of a scramble to get a team together. So Graz at the time was looking for someone quite experienced to bring a team quite quickly together and reopen the restaurant within 4 or 5 months. So he came knocking at the door, and it was an interesting challenge. I'd done my time, I think 5 years at German Gymnasium and a lot of time with D&D, I think nearly 15 years. So I thought, why not try something new? It was an interesting challenge. It was supposed to be more of a short-term contract, I think at first, 6 to 8 months to help out, and then get an assistant that could deliver, and then move back towards a bigger group. But look, it's
It's worked.
It was exhilarating, very hard to start with. I'm sure, as you're aware, the logistics were terrible. So, getting the chandelier here, the sofa, the armchair, all of that was, it's not the biggest restaurant that I've opened or reopened, but the most challenging one by 100 miles.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was COVID for you, basically.
I remember getting invited to one of the opening days, and I remember coming into Mayfair and walking down from Piccadilly to it, and I thought, if I walk in and I don't know anybody and I don't like the people in there, then I'll call it a day and won't go back. And that was that negative head of mine at work. And I walked in and I saw you, Michele,
Yeah.
and Kasia.
Kasia still there. Yeah.
And it was like,
welcome on.
I'm home.
Here we go.
I'm back. And that was, but this has always been unique to me. I've been eating here for, I came to the 40th anniversary, which must be getting on for nearly 50 years.
Yeah, 50 years this year. It's our big anniversary, 50
well,
this year.
There you go. But I bought something along to show you today.
One of those menus.
So I bought you this, which is the 8th of February 1955, which was my 40th birthday.
95.
And this is the menu. Now, as you know, I'm
The
partial.
prices might have been upgraded a little since.
Well, I'm partial.
I'm going to blame COVID on that.
The prices are a bit different. So I could have had a cream of tomato soup and croutons for £2.95. But more importantly, and this is what I'd like you to change if you could for me, is I could have had a bottle of Laurent Perrier Rosé, which I'm partial to a glass of, for 43 quid.
You see?
So if we could just have one day and go back to this.
We thought of that, we thought of doing a day with with all the prices back to 1976. So we don't have a 76 menu, but we got menus from the 80s and the 90s. So we'll base
76 was when it opened. So
76 when you opened, yeah.
50 years ago.
So Michael Caine at the time, Peter Langan's, which was the English heritage, and Richard Shepard, the chef at the time.
Well, it was like a dream team, because you had Peter Langan, the crazy guy that wandered around in a linen suit with trainers on and no laces because he suffered from gout constantly. And Michael Caine, just the coolest British actor in the world. And Richard Shepard was one of the first kind of celebrity chefs, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It was like this dream team. So they were always in the social side of the paper. William Hickey, people used to write about, and of course the book that was produced by, I can't remember the guy's name now, the resident
Mr. Young,
photographer.
the photographer,
Yeah.
We got it.
So but I have that book, and when you look at the history of this place, it is steeped in the history of fun, of having good times.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fun to go to Langan. So it was just, you were not just going out for lunch or dinner. You were going out to see first who was there. But to have fun, his first, I think it's the Evening Standard not so long ago that did a piece about that. And talking of Langan's as being the first restaurant that was a bit of a club as well.
Yeah.
A bit that really, he really inspired restaurateurs to go towards the nightlife industry and look at it as more of an experience, and not just a dining experience, but the whole concept of the whole environment of a restaurant. The music, the lighting, and the crowd. Or you create a crowd and create amazing experience. You come in and it was so busy. With celebrities left and right, people you knew, everyone knew each other. It was quite an atmosphere.
I always thought of it as a bit of a chameleon. If you wanted to meet someone in the construction industry, come here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And of course, I'm sure it used to take fortunes because people were spending corporate money. And corporate money, there's a lot more of it than there is personal tax money, particularly in this day and age, because they want all that money. Of an evening and a weekend when we used to use this place, it was people celebrating, wasn't it? It was birthdays and wedding anniversaries, but it was such a party atmosphere in this place. I think I first came here in 1983, 82, 83. To put that into context, there wasn't a mobile phone in those days. I remember knowing that I'd arrived when one day I was having lunch with some people, and there used to be the maitre d', he was a guy called Michael, and he was a nutty Chelsea supporter, and he was quite a bruiser sort of chap. wonderful bloke. And he walked up and said, Mr. Clements, he said, telephone call for you. And I got up and pumped my chest out and walked to reception to take a, and now you know you've been accepted, that you can phone the restaurant that you're in and they'll come and get you to take a phone call. Buy, sell, sell, sell. And that's just one of those things people forget. You know, it's like we all walk around with a mobile phone now and everything is recorded, everyone's available. But in those days, you'd walk in here, have lunch, sit until 5, 6 o'clock, and no one knew who you were with or where you were. What's the bit some days you wake up and think, this is tough?
You see in your restaurant a reflection of society. So when you see violence in society, when you see, you know, people that are simply nasty and they exist in society, you'll have a percentage of the people that will come through your door that will be like that. And sometimes, you know, to have to deal with those people can be quite extenuating.
Yeah.
But you know, you need, it's thanks God, it's a really rare minority. You gotta be thrown under the bus at some point. You know, you're alone in a restaurant. You don't have a catastrophic service, but it's one or two things happening on the table, or someone that's very unreasonable. That has happened as well. And you know, you need to get in and either stand your ground, but in a sometimes commercial way or polite way, or compromising way, I think is the term. And sometimes, you know, just put your hand up and say, look, really sorry, we got it wrong and that's not acceptable, you're right, I'm going to do something about it. I think most of the time, if you listen to you know, if someone's got an issue with something, just listen to them. Let them empty their bag, basically what they got to say, apologize for it, put your hand up for it if there is something very wrong, and just be sure to do something about it that's meaningful and to follow up with them and so on, and they'll usually get everyone back on track.
Because most people are reasonable,
yes, absolutely.
Even if they've had a bad experience, aren't they?
And when they're not, you know, you just keep your distance. Usually, if you're nice to people as well, they are nice to you. That's one of the golden rule. But you know, if you try to compromise and de-escalate always, and remain nice, and if someone is really not playing ball or becomes unreasonable as well, like, you know, threatening the staff, that has happened, or the guests, you know, you have to invite them to go. That's it.
They got to go there.
It's your idea, and this is home, you know, and that's not what we want here. They got to go. That's it.
I owned a restaurant for 7 years, nothing quite of this stature, back in from 85 to 92. But the one thing I always worked on was most people, if they're coming out to enjoy themselves. Yeah. So you're halfway there. If you can just enhance that enjoyment, you've done your job. But there was always a percentage of people that seemed to be wanting to impress somebody or do something that made life difficult for everybody. And they were my difficult days in it. But looking back at it, it was still something that was an incredible experience. Where do you go from running, in my view, the best restaurant in London?
It'd be very hard to leave Langan's. We've got a great team. I think we built something that's amazing in terms of the human connection that we got with our guests, with the history, but as well with the team. You know, that's very important. I'm happy to come in every day. Yeah. I'm happy to come here, work 6-7 days a week, because I'm happy to see the people that I see every day, simply. Yeah. To say hi to them. It's, you know, I'm never tired of it.
It's interesting because I had a client many years ago, a guy called Brian Teal. He's still out there somewhere, but he always had this saying. He said, whether it's a restaurant, a bar, an office building, it's all about the arrival experience, how people are welcomed and greeted, because not everybody's walked in that door before.
Yeah, true.
Some people, it's their very first time, but the skill set of your team here, all right, I'm different, I come here a lot. I'm a watcher of people and how they greet people and how they say goodbye. Everybody is welcomed and everybody is embraced as they leave. And I just find that exceptional, because restaurants, particularly in London, probably 15, 18 years ago, went through a phase, and some still have it, where the staff within there think they're doing you a little bit of a favour by serving you, you know? It seemed to be fashionable. If they were pouring wine, they'd let a little bit drip on the table. There wasn't care taken. The fact it might have cost £200 a bottle and you've dripped £1 on the table.
It's about consistency. If you say, you're going to deliver that, you need every day to wake up and want to deliver it with intent and be consistent. You can't, welcome Mr. Clements very well and then, have his son coming in and
I don't know that you should even let him in here.
We do, sir, we do. But, or someone else coming in and not welcoming in the same manner.
No, of course.
He needs to be consistent and he needs to be an item hospitality at all times.
Tell me a couple of funny, good time incidents in your career.
The one that will stand out, back in the days in the very early 2000s, I was in a restaurant called Le Pont de la Tour in Châteains, just by Tower Bridge. So we had a gentleman called Rod Stewart coming in with his wife at the time. I think it was a Saturday night. So Pont de la Tour was absolutely heaving, packed to the rafter. We find him a lovely table by the window. I was in my young management there as a young Frenchman. I was
Had he booked or did you push someone out?
No, they had booked him, but quite late. So we had to push someone from the window, and say, look, that regular's going to need to go somewhere else, unfortunately. But we tried to give him a bit of privacy, which could be difficult at that point because it was a long restaurant, so tables were quite close to each other. And I thought, Rod Stewart, okay, yeah, I've heard of him, but not that familiar with his music, being a young Frenchman. Much more now since he already Glastonbury and everything. But I realized quickly on the night that he was someone big, a superstar. Yeah. So we sit him down, offer him the champagne when they arrive. The night goes very well. Some guests obviously try to go and get an autograph. Mobile phone at the time in the early 2000, there were some, but not with, most of them didn't have a camera.
No.
So people were not trying to take a picture, and not everyone had a camera in his pocket. So that was quite fine. So we pushed back a few guests that tried to go and get an autograph to give them, to give Sir Stewart some privacy. And at some point, we nearly had to create a small cordon. I don't think he was aware of all that was happening behind him, to make sure that people were effectively going to the toilets and not, trying to go to the toilets and stop by him to have a cheeky autograph. And I was with a colleague of mine, Greg, at the time manager, quite close to his table and still surveying what was happening. At some point, he looked at me and said, "Sam, what is he doing?" I look at a gentleman in his suit, he's probably in his early 50s, and he was crawling on the floor. I'm not sure if he was like a baby or like a cat, trying to approach, going in between tables, trying to approach Rod Stewart table to an autograph. And we, I positioned myself in front of him, look at him, I said, "Sir, ready? No, please stand up." I help him standing up. I said, I understand. Let's go back to your table, please.
I have a couple of stories about this place that I recall. The first one, again, involves this former maitre d' who you might have heard of, Michael. He was here throughout the 80s and the 90s. I was sitting having lunch with an electrical contractor, and his guest was from a big building society, and he sort of come in and he was late, but he said, I've only got an hour, that's right, it's no problem. We've got a bottle of Chablis coming. I don't want a drink, I just want a bottle of Evian water. So you get the feeling that things aren't, it's not going to be an easy time. The host, who's this electrical contractor mate of mine, he said to Michael, he said, "Michael, can we have a bottle of Evian water?" He said, "Of course." And away he went. And he came back, he opened this bottle, and it was Highland Spring. And he's opened it, and he's poured the 3 glasses. And the guy said, "I asked for Evian water." And Michael turned round and said, "You'll get what you're given."
Oh,
and with half a smile on his face, because it is only water. And the guy said, "That's it, I'm off," and he left. The host, my mate, his name was Neil, and he turned around and he said, "Well, thanks for that, Michael, you messed that up." He said, "Let me tell you something." He said, "You shouldn't be associating with miserable people like that. You're too much fun." And that's absolutely true story. In my heyday of eating and drinking, which I still do, but to about 20% of what I used to, particularly the drinking, was I came in here for lunch one day and I was feeling terrible. I'd done sort of 3 or 4 days and nights on the trot. and I think one of the managers was Peter, and I sat there, and they used to do ham off the bone and potato salad as a main course. And I said, could I have the ham but with some chips? And you couldn't get peas in those days. Peas was definitely taboo and not on the menu. If I could just have, he said, of course you can, Mr. Clements. He said, would you like a fried egg on that? I said, I can't imagine the chef's going to want to be doing me ham, egg and chips. He said, the chef will do what I ask him to for you. And I sat there and ate ham, egg and chips, which is exactly what I needed. Look, Sam, this has been an absolute pleasure for me to do, and obviously I thank you for letting me use your fantastic space for doing this series, and and I love what you've done to this place. It's better than it ever was in the past. So
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.